Warning. The following video contains strong language that some viewers may find offensive or disturbing.
What pisses you off in most movies? When they don't wait nearly long enough for the person on the other end of the phone to reply. I get that it would be weird for them to sit there for the full realistic amount of time sometimes. But it really bugs me when they listen to the phone for like 1 second then reply as though the person on the other end just told them a lot of stuff. When the bomb gets defused with 0:01 left on the timer. Or the virus stops downloading at 99%. Yeah, 'cause nobody saw that coming. Anytime anyone touches a microphone you hear this awful feedback noise. That's not what causes feedback. Infinite shifting in race or chase scenes. That. And when the driver is already full throttle and another car is catching up alongside. Stomping the gas harder magically makes the car go faster. This is really stupid, but I hate in movies when characters are served coffee or water or something and they never drink it. Forgetting about stuff that was introduced earlier or coming up with reasons for not using it. Like when they introduce some awesome new non-lethal weapon and then completely forget it exists an hour later when it would have been incredibly useful. Action movies mainly, the main character is able to take multiple bullets, while a random bad goon dies with a punch. But the main villain also takes 1,000,000 bullets. Falling from a building, being crushed, and fuck knows what else. Pretty annoying, yeah. In horror movies when an adult tells a kid to wait somewhere and the fucking kid starts wandering. People holding someone at gunpoint from 2 feet away. I'm always asking, you know what's great about guns? You don't have to be within reach to use them. Oh, surprise. They jumped you and we're wrestling now. Single quote. This is a real-life problem. People love power, and when they have power and a cause, they want that power in your face so you know who's in charge. This irritates me about people in general, especially when they're smug or condescending. Ridiculous action camera scenes. They are either zoomed in so close you can't tell what's happening or there are a ton of jump cuts in an effort to make a boring action scene more interesting. For further reference, see Liam Neeson jumping a fence. American high school kids all look about 25. Phone sound effects that only exist in the movies. Pretty sure no one's phone makes some gizmo sounds every time you touch it. People living in houses or apartments that they clearly would never be able to afford in real life. Knock the guard out. If they're unconscious for that long they're probably dead. Cracked their skull open or concussed. Even the latter is ridiculous as you wake up relatively quickly from a concussion. Certainly not long enough for James Bond to slip into a complex. Download the files, have sex, and run out again undetected. That guard is dead. It's a scary thought that many people have probably assumed they can subdue people this way IRL due to how it's been normalized in movies. The old Bonds were hilarious. He didn't even hit their head. Just karate chopped their jugular or something. Most representations of hacking, I mean, when Live Free or Die Hard sometimes absolutely nails it. And sometimes fucks it up hilariously. You mean you don't just type a whole bunch while staring intently at a computer? Yeah, you know when they access the mainframe and disable the algorithms? Or whatever. First I have to disable the firewall, then I'll have full access to the mainframe which generates real-time 3D animations of the building or nuclear reactor or whatever on my own screen for some reason. And lets me enable or disable all the building services, alarm systems, etc. Stalking and lying to achieve someone's love is okay in romantic comedies. Exactly. Far too many romantic comedies have stories that are written as if it's supposed to be taken as a compliment that some nice guy won't stop following and pestering a girl into dating them after she's explicitly told him she's not interested several times. While their persistence to get the girl is supposed to be romantic. IRL, it would be creepy. When the main character finally gets a chance to defeat the villain and ends up blowing it when they stall to partake in a pointless dialogue. Or the other way round when the villain has a chance to defeat the hero. Both are equally annoying. Fight scenes when they cut between shots every half a second and every single shot is super shaky. It's just lazy and so many movies do it. Look at Kingsman or John Wick. The fight scenes are great and memorable because they had great choreography along with great cinematography. When it is so dark you can't see a goddamn thing. Game of Thrones. Edit, yes. I realize that some of you have 2015's vision. That's great and all, but most people who watched that episode can agree it was too damn dark to see anything. When the dialogue is really quiet so I have to turn the volume up. Then an intense scene starts and it's incredibly loud. There are settings in your TV or soundbar, often called smart sound, compression, leveling or dynamic range, which will make quiet times louder and loud segments quiet, effectively minimizing the volume fluctuations. When there's a situation and somebody says, "I can explain," and the other person says, "I don't want to hear it," and so the person that can explain just doesn't explain. Like, I understand they said they don't want to hear it. But you're a human being with agency and you can assess the situation and determine that the explanation trumps this person's emotional reaction and just shout, "The person I was having lunch with was my sister," as they're leaving the room. Just because somebody tells you they don't want to hear it doesn't mean you can't yell out a carefully worded explanation that solves all of your problems as they storm off in a huff. I recently heard a quote that ran along the lines of, "If an argument can be solved by reading a post-it note." That's just bad writing. A single missing sentence shouldn't be the crux of a relationship. Women who wear heels while fighting. You will break an ankle. Edit, wow, didn't expect this many upvotes. Thanks. Corollary, women in action roles who have their long hair down and flying all over the goddamned place. It either blocks your vision or is a handhold for your opponent or both. Secure that shit. In the new Harley Quinn, they pointed out in a fight scene with one of the women being given a hair tie during the fight scene so that exact thing doesn't happen to her. When they say, "We have no other choice," or "What choice do we have?" or "We don't have any other options." This is the most overused way to motivate characters taking action in a film. It's so iconic that it's easy to miss. It becomes side dialogue. Pay close attention and you'll notice it. The plot may be constructed so they do have other choices. But you just believe what they say because you don't want to think about it. There are some ways to do this well. For example, why would I want to save the galaxy? Because you're one of the idiots who lives in it. When the movie is based off of some other source such as a book, video game, or cartoon TV show and they make a ton of bad changes to the movie to be different from the source material. Example, The Last Airbender. The Hobbit. As soon as I heard they were doing a trilogy I knew it would fail. There simply wasn't enough for the characters to do to fill 3 movies just going off the book. I just don't understand why they added stuff that not only made it different than the book, but also feel different than the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Why were there like Eastern European orcs? It was so weird and completely deviated from the adventure story that was the book. It seemed they wanted desperately to remind everyone how great the Lord of the Rings trilogy was. Like, hey, you won't recognize a lot of these characters. So here's Legolas. Remember him? Hey, let's show how every character ended up in their starting points for the Fellowship. And have Elrond tell Legolas about Aragorn. Blah, blah. It felt very much like Revenge of the Sith in that regard. All they had to do was take care of the story like they did with the previous 3 stories. Should the desolation of Smaug be more prominent than it was in the books? Sure, it was solved in like 1 chapter. Lol. But we don't need a 2.5-hour movie with a 3-hour extended edition also existing. It's ridiculous. 1. Finding a parking spot or available table every time. And 2. When I notice how much they use each other's names. 2 for sure. I can't remember the last time I used someone's actual name in conversation. We just know who we're talking to or who we're referencing. To be fair, us as an audience aren't as familiar with the characters. I find myself having trouble knowing who is who if they don't call each other by their names now and again. Then later in the movie they talk about a mic and I'm just sitting there like, WHO as Mike? Very true. I can watch a whole movie and at the end be like, you know how the guy with the hat was talking to the lady that was wearing a blue shirt in that one scene about the other guy with the blonde hair? Yeah, IDK who these people are. Quote. Women who step out of a hot shower in full makeup. Also who go to bed and wake up in perfect makeup. Also when crying does nothing to their eyeliner. I guess I just have it out for makeup. Lol. Mine is visible makeup in a scene they should not be wearing makeup. Lost in the woods. Post-apocalyptic crisis. Religious cult that shuns modern trappings. All with visible eye makeup. If they can do men's makeup and have it look natural, why must women be wearing obvious eyeliner, shadow, and mascara? Yeah, it's not like they can't do makeup in a way that just makes people look better on camera, but not actually looks like they are wearing anything. Same with things like body hair and visible dirt when people are supposed to be lost on an island. Men always grow a beard and get super grungy looking, but the women don't. I mean, you don't have to glue merkins under her arms and keep her arms up at all times to convince me. But take a step back with the obvious makeup or at least give her a few unruly eyebrow hairs and ratty hair please. I finally started watching The Witcher with my housemate and she pointed out that Renfrey actually looked like she'd been living outdoors and it's wild how unusual that is in movies and TV. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button. See you next time.